The Court of Appeal today grants INEC permission to reconfigure the Beavers machines against the prayers of Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party and granted Bola Tinubu of the APC the permission to inspect election materials. And more new entrants into the House of Representatives for the 10th National Assembly as INEC today issued certificate of return to members of the Green Chambers. A warm welcome to all of you wherever you may be watching. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kim Aloye in Abuja. So much to talk about on the outcome of the presidential election. Things have not yet settled, and it does look like whatever is happening on the outcome of the presidential election is also having some effect on what is happening now and perhaps what we will see in the nearest future. But before we get into all of those issues, some of the breaking news that you can see on your screen coming out of the Court of Appeal today, we shall be dissecting the implication for the election. We'll be hearing from the Labour Party what this means. We'll be hearing from lawyer and party leaders on this matter tonight. Still around with me so we can get a sense and perspective in all of these for you tonight on the program. Let's tell you first and foremost that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has paid a visit to the former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida. The former vice president arrived at Minna International Airport around 11 a.m. and was received by the former governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, and they proceeded straight to the uphill mansion of the former military president. Well, so much to talk about, but first let's check around with some of your political roundup story. My colleague Victoria Longjohn is standing by to bring us up to speed. Victoria?
Thank you, Seun. Hello everyone, I'm Victoria Longjohn, and here are your political roundup stories. The occult party in Oyo State has joined other political parties to adopt Governor Seyi Makinde as its governorship candidate in the March 11 election in Oyo State. At a press briefing in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the party noted that Makinde has proved himself beyond doubt that he means well for residents of the state with his actions in the last 4 years. The party said its executives have decided to form a working alliance with Governor Makinde of the PDP to avoid an interruption of ongoing plans to transform Oyo State. Wife of Oyo State Governor, Mrs. Tamno Minini Makinde, has called on women across the state to support the second-term bid of her husband so he could consolidate on his achievement, especially on women empowerment. Speaking to women at Ibadan West Local Council Development Authority, Mrs. Makinde notes that the promise to upgrade one health center per ward is largely being fulfilled as more than 200 have been rehabilitated and upgraded to Category 3 across the state. And the Ogun State Governor, Mr. Dapo Abiodun, has asked residents of the state to come out in their numbers and cast their votes for him and other candidates contesting the State of Assembly elections. This, according to him, will help to consolidate the building of a viral and prosperous state. He made the appeal during the last lap of his re-election campaign to Yewa North and Remo North local government areas of the state to woo the electorate. The governor thanked them for the show of love, understanding and cooperation for his administration's policies and programs. The governorship candidate of the ADC in Ogun State, Mr. Olubi Otegbeye, has promised to complete all abandoned projects embarked upon by the past administration if voted as governor. Mr. Otegbeye stated this in an interview at the end of a campaign tour across the 3 senatorial districts of the state.
We've gone around almost 19 local governments, and the reception had been wonderful.
Transporters in Kwara State have held rally across the major streets of Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, expressing their readiness to ensure the victory of the Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak for second term. The transporters, led by the former National Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Najim Yassin, says the governor's achievements in all sectors have endeared him to the majority of the people of the state and will translate to him being elected for second term. A senatorial candidate for for the Lagos West senatorial seat who contested under the PDP, Mr. Segun Adewale, has announced that a possible alliance with other opposition parties in Lagos is in the pipeline. Mr. Adewale was speaking while playing host to an Indigo amalgamated group led by Mr. Femi Dom-Ferguson. Mr. Adewale also wants the Independent National Electoral Commission to issue him the certificate of return, claiming that he won the election. A civil society group under the umbrella of Committee for Anti-Fraud Election Security want President Muhammadu Buhari and security agencies to intervene on the security situation in Ebonyi State. At a press conference in Abuja, the convener of the group, Mr. Kennedy Iyere, accuses the governor of Ebonyi State, Mr. David Umahi, of using the state security outfit, Ebubago, to attack opposition parties and is calling on the Inspector General of Police to call him to order. The senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Abia North in the just concluded National Assembly election, Mr. Mao Ohabunwa, is calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to review the senatorial results in the half-year local government as it does not reflect the will of voters. Mr. Habunwa, who was speaking to journalists in Umuahia, notes that election in some parts of the local government was marred with irregularities and appeals to INEC for the review of the results. And those are your political roundup stories. I am Victoria Longchen.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for those stories. And now you've been served and you're up to date. Let's get you started with the major story, the breaking news we're following for you coming out of the Court of Appeal today. And it's that a three-man panel of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal sitting at the Court of Appeal has granted a request of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, to be used for the February 25th, 2023 presidential election. The court, in a unanimous decision by the three-man panel of justices led by Justice Joseph Ikeg, held that preventing the electoral umpire from reconfiguring the BVAS would adversely affect the March 11, 2023 governorship and state House of Assembly elections. The court also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to allow the president-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, and the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, to access the sensitive materials used for the presidential election. Let me allow you to listen to the counsel to Mr. Peter Obi and the Labour Party after the Court of Appeal ruling.
The order of the ex parte order procured by Labour Party and Mr. Obi to enable them procure vital evidence required for their petition. INEC filed an application seeking to vary those orders, particularly as it relates to the server, BVAS machine. Luckily for us today, the court refused to vary that order. That order is sustained and remains. In another ruling, the court was of the view that they are given the back-end server, which INEC undertook to provide to secure those materials, that order is partly sustained. Those initial orders are partly sustained. But in all, the good news is that the initial order of the court made on the 3rd of March, permitting Peter Gregory Obi and Labour Party to inspect the facilities of INEC, including the BVAS machine, which they intend to use to prove their petition. Those orders are sustained. The application seeking to vary it was refused.
Well, you heard the lawyer there. Different arguments, different prayers brought to court. INEC was a party. Labour Party and Mr. Peter Obi went to court. Bola Tinubu, the president-elect, also had his own prayers that he took to that tribunal, the petition tribunal. And what came out of it gets us talking tonight. The implication of that, the import of that, Does it affect the governorship election? What does this mean for the chances of Peter Obi and the Labour Party in challenging the outcome of the election? And of course, the integrity of Nigeria's election. Let's get talking. I'm going to bring you one of those who ran in that race and the leader of one of the political parties, or equally a lawyer. So he's bringing to bear so many, he's wearing so many hats. He has a big one, so he's representing all the hats that we might be we might be needing him to speak on tonight. Mr. Iwuanyanwu is a Zenith Labour Party presidential candidate and the national chairman of the party, equally a lawyer. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. I don't know why you're always in love with my hat.
But it looks like a cowboy hat, though.
It's not a cowboy hat. I've been wearing this since '83.
You told me about that, the hat. Well, interesting, so fascinating too. Let's get talking. Let me first and foremost get your reaction to the ruling of the court today, the outcome of the position of the court.
I monitored the judgment up to earlier afternoon before I left. I had the judgment right here now. I was trying to get, because I left my office, I've been in a meeting, and there was no communication until I got here. You saw how I exclaimed when I said,
what happened?
What happened? Well, my reaction is this. Once you are dissatisfied with the process of an election or its results, it is settled that you are entitled to all the essential materials used for that election to prove your case, bring your evidence and your facts. That is settled. If you check all the election petition cases, courts are unanimous on that. I had in mind that there was no way the petitioners will not be given the opportunity to look at the sensitive materials used in the election. We listened to the lawyer, to one of the petitioners. We didn't hear the other side. That's why I said, let me read the judgment. As a lawyer, I have to read the judgment. There may be some conditionalities attached to it. He's saying that the prayer of INEC was not granted, and the other one was refused. But your intro, you said INEC has been allowed
to reconfigure
the beavers. If the configuring of the beavers will not tamper with the beavers as per the information it had, and that's why I said I have to read the judgment of the court. You know, beavers has a lot of information. It has a memory. And it's like your phone. You put it off, by the time you put it on, messages start coming in. So if it will hamper, or it will not hamper the getting of information regarding the election, its conduct, votes per units, how it was transmitted, uploaded, as we have seen now, then there won't be problem with that. But if configuring it will affect the information required by the petitioners, then there is every need for us to worry. If INEC is to configure it now because of the election, then probably if we had the opportunity to speak, we would have said, okay, let us shift this election for a week or two. We still have a window to accommodate that, to enable all the petitioners have access to the information they require to prosecute their petition.
So, part of the prayers and the fear of INEC is if you do not allow us to reconfigure, because the same beavers were used for the presidential election are going to be used for the governorship election, and perhaps the window of the 2 weeks gap so INEC can put it out in order and get ready for the next election. But the court said you can reconfigure the beavers. So part of the argument of INEC or the court today is that, look, we have a server that houses all of this information and it will be made available to the court. Now, that is the position. But historically speaking, can you give us your view about how you think this is going so far?
Well, I don't want to be speculative or anticipatory of the tribunals and the courts, but I know that you cannot prevent a petitioner access from having vital information he required whether it is the beavers, whether it is the server, in his own opinion, will help him prosecute his petition. And it is important, I say it again, that I must have to read the judgment. There may be other conditions. You know, you journalists will just take the summary or the highlights. There may be other things there, other conditions given in reconfiguring the beavers machine. So as a lawyer, I have to read. I don't want to talk in abstract. If you bring me back here tomorrow, I will be able to satisfy you on this. I have to read that judgment this night.
And I mean, that's not an issue. I mean, every lawyer should be able to discuss or argue based on the fact.
I didn't hear the judges. I told you I just had it here.
And I
have not read it. I don't want to talk in abstract.
I totally
But if you bring me back tomorrow, I will interrogate the judgment.
So let's talk about the outcome of the election, the process, the conduct. What are your views about you participated in the process, the outcome of this election? Give us your view of how things went down.
I want to say honestly that there were a lot of problems. There were issues across the states, like in any other election. I would be deceiving myself if I said that everything went well. And you recall, I had to speak after the chairman of IPAC spoke during the collation. And I made our views very clearly. In every election, you have people who will never allow things to work the normal way. Sheung, let me start with the beavers. Beavers, there is nothing wrong with the beavers machine. It is the way to go. But something is wrong with people operating the beavers. It's in this climate, in this country. I've always said it. I don't know the kind of people God put here and their hearts, their minds, that nothing will work. INEC suffered with the political parties to get this in place. We interrogated it, top to bottom, front and back. And we said, beavers is the way to go. At least beavers have shown you that money politics cannot work. Beavers have shown you that how many places did you hear they carry ballot boxes, apart from the touts and the talks that they saw in other places. Beavers will authenticate, and you see people who will attempt to bypass the beavers. So the problem we had was with the professors and those INEC put in the states. They betrayed the INEC chairman. They betrayed him thoroughly. They allowed themselves to be hijacked by the governors in the states, and they started taking their dictates. I'm not saying don't follow them for their own life. Follow them. But when you come back, put an affidavit. This thing was done under duress. We have taken care of that in the Electoral Act. We have taken care of that in the Electoral Act. Don't put your life in danger. Do as they wish. But immediately you are out of danger, inform the INEC. Look at what happened, look at what happened. INEC had just cancelled an election of the majority leader as a result of obtaining results under duress.
The INEC official says that he announced the result under duress.
Good.
And so
what stopped these professors for doing that? And INEC chairman, by the time he discovered it was too late. If you listen to me during the collation, I cited, that was what I was talking about when I said when Jesus Christ was here as a person, he had only 12 disciples. One betrayed him. Now you have 37. Expect 10 to be you. I was referring to this intel. So you see a situation where people will not let things work. Everybody's talking about beavers, beavers, beavers. There is no system today we have here that will be better than beavers. And what I did that day, I think I saved Nigeria's democracy because it was to collapse that very moment. Everybody was saying, cancel election, don't let it go on. No, we can't go that way. We cannot pull down the house. We cannot pull down the roof because you did not win. I did not win. I was in the election. I saw myself by the time I bought my ticket that I was going to take over President Buhari as the next president of Nigeria.
You told me so.
I told you so.
Yeah.
God bless you. And it seems that it's not working that way. Should I then pull down the house and the roof? Because I saw myself as going to take over from President Buhari. But it didn't work. It didn't work like that. So I cannot pull out the house. So what I did was to provide an opportunity, a window, for those that are grieved to go this process they are going now. If I had not done that through IPAC, and that thing had collapsed that day, they won't have opportunity. We had already said we don't want interim government. We don't want this. I brought a scenario to a friend just when he confronted me on this, a professor too. I said, look, what if the election was cancelled and the president will say, okay, this election was flawed as you want it, or as you wanted it. Now, council will start again. You people will come up with the argument, we don't want the same chairman to conduct it. The president puts another INEC chairman. The INEC chairman, after 1 week, will talk to Nigerians. I need 6 months, I need 1 year to tidy this up. Then you go on the street. We don't want it, you must do it now. You are getting to interim government, or you are getting to unconstitutional change of government. People should think and work with intels on what is happening. So I can pride myself that day that I saved this democracy. And when people are speaking, they should speak with understanding. I have told you, I was a runner. Look at all the elections coming. Somebody just few minutes.
But can you compare yourself to the likes of Atiku Abubakar, who polled well over 6 million votes, and Peter Obi, who polled about the same figure and won several states? You didn't win any state. Your stake and theirs might not be exactly the same.
No, that's based on the report, the result they are challenging. You see, as far as we went to the race, we're on the same platform. We're on the same platform. You, as we have seen it, maybe in course of interrogating the results, those who are not in court may have votes in their favor. True of us? It might happen. So no matter the level or the stake you have, Nigeria must exist before the position you are looking for. Don't get me wrong. Everything was not right with the election. But I do not want a situation where we lose this democracy that we have done for more than 2 years.
We have election in just about 2 or 3 days. Those are the governorship elections. Let's look at the things that went wrong, with the hope of, and I'm very certain that a lot of INEC officials are watching and a lot of stakeholders are watching tonight. Let's have the mindset to say these are the wrong things and where INEC and Nigeria can get it right. Can you give us an understanding? You said Beavers was working, but there are those who betrayed the INEC chairman by working with fifth columnists in subverting the process. But what are the other issues that you think that needed to be tackled? What were the other things that went wrong?
You see, we're talking about transmission of results. That was part of their concern.
What do you think went wrong there?
I was shocked. Where I voted, I was there. The result was transmitted.
In your presence?
In my presence. I saw it.
And it was confirmed?
And it was confirmed. So it was when I got to Abuja that I started hearing that they did not transmit. Maybe I was lucky. And that has to do...
Because first, there are two processes in transmitting the result. The result has to, first and foremost, when it's taking, the picture taking...
It was
just a moment, sir. If a picture is taken on the wall as pasted, it has to be stored first.
Yes.
So when it is stored, it gives you the signal that it's been stored.
Yes.
Then when you get into a network area, then you can then transmit.
In fact, when we had to transmit, we have done all that.
Into the RF portal?
Yes. There was no network. We started moving. 20%, 30, 40, 60, 80, this. We went. Within the same compound. Within the same school premises. The point is that those that betrayed the chairman didn't want it to work.
Who are these people?
The professors he kept in the States.
These are ad hoc officials?
No, they're not. They're what the ad hoc officers do.
Are they substantive INEC staff?
No. You know, there were people, collection officers in the States. You have some of them in different local governments and wards. How they did it, how they arrived at this, because before the election, we had agreed with INEC that this is the way to go. And I must say that I am yet to accept that Professor Mahmoud, people will attack that Professor Mahmoud was involved in this. he gave us all assurances. We asked all questions. He said, we even suggested, shall we postpone if anything, it was not ready? Go and ask all the political parties. He told us that he had done this thing. He has put everything he had on this project for 2 years. I cannot sabotage it at the 11th hour.
Could it be that he overpromised and under-delivered?
No. He was ready to deliver. But those, you see, next 10, we will not, with respect to, due respect to the professors, I don't think we have to have them again. If professors that are credible, there are some that are credible, we have them. But there are many, if you see what is coming out now, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Why? Why destroy all the job we have done for 2 years? And now you want to crucify the man at the head. Of course, the buck ends on his desk, no doubt about it. But you have to give benefit of the doubt. I'm sure you had the result of their meeting, their meeting with the resident commissioners Thursday, Friday last week. He admonished them. He told them his mind.
But do you think he could have done anything better in the manner of handling the situation, the crisis at the time?
I told you that before he realized it, it was too late.
Were you in communication with him?
No, that's my intel. And I say so. Shehu, on the 20th, did I not say this thing will happen? Only AIT, Arise, and maybe you carried it. The press shut it down. I said the transmission of result will be tampered with. Get back to the net. Go and verify. I said, and I expected the security and everybody to interrogate it. On the 20th of last month, 20th of February, before 25th, I addressed a press conference on this. I did. That critical infrastructure of INEC will be tampered with to stop the transmission of results to the server. I said so on the 20th. So I wasn't surprised. Press shut it down because that was not what they wanted to hear. In law, they said you must always listen to the other side. Listen to the other side. Maybe after listening to the other side, you may have opportunity to change your mind.
Let's take a pause. We'll take a break, and when we come back, there are other issues that you think bedeviled that election. And ultimately, how can we get it better in the governorship election of next Saturday? Stay with me, everyone. More conversation about the outcome of today's court ruling in the appeal court and the governorship election that we're looking forward to when we return, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program tonight. Don't forget, we've been following for you some of the pictures of what happened today in the Court of Appeal. Some of were brought to you. The sound bite of the lawyer to Mr. Peter Obi, and some of what came out of that was that INEC's request to vary the order granting Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party's access to inspect the beavers and other election materials, which was dismissed by the court, and INEC's request to configure beavers was granted. Another request was that of Bola Tinubu of the APC to inspect election materials, which was also granted, and Peter Obi's request to inspect beavers and other materials was granted. Chief Dan Iwuanyanwu is the Zenith Labour Party presidential candidate and also the national chairman and also a lawyer. He's been speaking with us. Thank you so much indeed. Before we went on that break, you were analyzing some of the problems of the last election, the presidential election. What are the other issues that you saw?
Well, I think you have the issue of disruption of voters. Some people were not allowed to vote. There were places they were shut out from voting.
Some kind of voter suppression?
Yes. Somewhere in Borno, a whole area, almost a senatorial zone was not allowed to vote. But you see, in this election we are going on Saturday, Shehu, it is a different election. When we say politics is local, this one on Saturday is the meaning of politics being local. IPAC has told INEC chairman that in the next election, you must use their best endeavors to ensure that our strategy for the election as agreed, as provided by the law, is adhered to in total. On the other hand, if in a state assembly constituency where some people were not allowed to vote, there was disruption in the area, what it means is that INEC will suspend the processes there, collect the results of the ones that voted, and then go back and reconduct election in those areas. Ditto in the governorship election. Unlike the presidential election, where you consider the people not allowed to vote, you consider the number of registered voters there, and it will not substantially change what you have. You can let it go. But it's not going to be the same thing in the election of Saturday, because it goes with simple majority, state assembly. Even though for governorship, you still have to make the requirements, the spread in the local governments. So these are things we expect INEC to do and to monitor. And we are satisfied with the admonition to the RECs.
Is that enough?
No, but I told them that what happened from what we read, what happened in the last election should not repeat itself. So,
should INEC be engaging political parties? I mean, has there been any interface between INEC and political parties? You are a leading member of IPAC, the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Has INEC called the political parties together to explain to them what went wrong?
Yeah, you mean since after the election?
After the thing.
We met INEC that very day. All of us met INEC chairman.
On the platform of the political parties?
IPAC, we held a meeting at our secretariat, but then proceeded to ICC. But
that was on the day that it was emerging that there were problems. But I'm talking about when INEC had sufficient information about what really happened. As INEC debriefed the political parties on what really went wrong.
No, apart from the meeting we had that day, we spent more than an hour with him. And the question was, what happened? What went wrong? That was our interaction with him.
What was his response?
Just, he was disturbed. He was terribly disturbed, I must tell you. His voice was like somebody who was stabbed at the back. And we saw that in him. I'm not speaking for him. All the comments political parties have made, including myself here, has been predicated on the fact that all of us have been involved in all these processes. He has always met with the parties every 3 months. He met with us twice before the election. And we asked critical questions, which he provided answers. And when this matter was on, we met him because he couldn't leave the International Conference Center. After a meeting at IPAC office, we went to him. He said, look, what went wrong? And we saw that the man was thoroughly betrayed. And he realized it too late.
If there is one thing that INEC needs to work on ahead of the next election, what would that be?
To ensure that the rule of engagement is kept to. Every resident electoral commissioner, everybody posted anywhere, must go strictly by the rules. Where there are objections to the rules or disruption of election, INEC has to do it again, no matter how many days it will take. IPAC has already given INEC chairman this. This has been our understanding. And for those that did what they did, we have to now name and shame them if they continue in their practice. And I'm aware that some resident electoral commissioners are on suspension. I don't know if you're aware.
One in Sokoto State.
I learned that of Abia. It's also on suspension.
The one in Sokoto he's been told to step aside.
I learned too, one in Abia, and there are others that have been interrogated. So these are the things we had. But I know if you claim you won the election, prepare your evidence. In 2007, when Governor Mimiko's mandate was stolen with Adam Soshiomole, you recall, INEC then could not announce the results in Benin and in Akure. They announced the results in Abuja. What did we do? We collected all the results in every polling unit, packed it word by word, and went to Justice Nabrume panel. He saw it and shook his head. There was effort by the government then to change Justice Nabrume of blessed memory. He refused. He gave us judgment. He restored the victory. On the other hand, he restored that of Adams Oshiomhole. They went to Justice Abdullahi's Court of Appeal, presided by Justice Abdullahi. He refused. We got the mandate. So let nobody kill himself. Prepare your documents. Election is won and lost at the polling unit, not on transmission, not on collation and all that. Once you have those facts, there is no court in the land, no matter how compromised that court may be, that will not give you judgment.
The Director General of the Labour Party, the Presidential Council of the Labour Party, Chief Akin Osuntokun. He joins us live now from Lagos. But before I get your view, or perhaps let me get your view or your reaction to the outcome of the Court of Appeal, what came out of Court of Appeal today. How do you react to that? Mr. Osuntokun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, fabulous. I was going to get your reaction to the outcome of the ruling of the Court of Appeal.
Well, you know, first and foremost, you know, Gbadebo is 40 years old today. That's our Lagos State governorship candidate. Gbadebo wrote Fever, DRV. So I want to wish him a happy birthday from 40 Bozas, and to urge him to be preparing to take over the reins of Lagos State government soon.
That goes for a cost, Mr. Osuntokun. Birthday wishes on national television. That's 30 seconds of advertisement, which I'll send an invoice to you. Just send it straight to our corporate office. That you can get the payment straight from you. Please go ahead.
I have no problems with that. You see, Nigeria is dysfunctional. That means that everything good, you know, we just manage to pervert it to become an ailment, to become something that is destructive. The judgment in the court today, in a normal society, elections should go on, right? Why has it become contentious now for it to be a court matter for elections to go on? This is the problem. This is where you go back to the beginning, right? Look, it has come to a stage where we have to decide whether spending 400 billion naira or $100 million on elections that will bring on more trouble is worth it. Now this INEC, they contracted a technology praising to high levels, near perfect. Beavers this, beavers that. And now you see, and I was repeatedly asked on the shows like this, with all what INEC has done, don't I think that, you know, they will give a good performance? I said no, because I look at the pedigree of somebody who is making a promise, and I don't see from their pedigree somebody who has a vested interest in credibility, right? And I said, look, I'd love to be, you know, I hope they give me a pleasant surprise. On the contrary, well, they confirmed the worst of my feelings. Now, elections, look, 4 years or more, because you have to take the experience of elections in Nigeria other years into consideration. It's not only 4 years. We have had so many years. You are planning for a presidential election, series of elections. One will come, the presidential election will come, followed 2 weeks later by the governorship elections. then you know that, and it is actually in the electoral law and in the constitution, that it is anticipated that petitions or some will result from the presidential election, for which a period of 2 months or so is allotted. Now, and one of the critical ingredients they are going to use, you are going to need, at the tribunal, are the data stored on beavers, which you are now telling us that because we want to do the next election, you have to wipe it out, reconfigure it in a way that makes nonsense of it. How do you expect somebody who calls himself a professor, how do people behave like this? Is it not normal to anticipate this, what is happening now? The other time they said they couldn't upload whatever. How can you do the significance of this election for Nigeria, for Africa, for the whole world? You said your server is down. It is the possibility is high that the server can be down. But considering the gravity of the responsibility you are carrying through, shouldn't you have imagined the worst case scenario and prepare for it accordingly? You don't have any of that. So what we have, my former chairman was saying the other time, that the INEC chairman was looking like somebody is stabbed in the back. What? I don't want to use the word. He knows the companies he keeps, so I don't know what they do to one another there. But you see, some professors started being engaged in the logic that these are relatively fair-minded people, broad-minded, cosmopolitan, this and we have seen their performance. I think the time has come to be withdrawing these professorships from them. Right? They have made a mess of this election, spending so much money in a country that is the poverty capital of the world. We squandered the little that we have, plus what we get from outside. We squander it on it. We have also entered the realm of absurdity, right? And we'll soon go into the jungle justice. The judiciary is getting increasingly compromised and lacking in perception of integrity. It is increasingly becoming the case that judges or judgments are purchasable. We have been treated to ridiculous court judgments. The one giving the Senate president the senatorial ticket back, the governorship in Imo State. Now, they say, so we have come to a situation now where what happens is that people get the verdict before the judgment. Those, whoever, the strongest among the robes, whoever breaks the line first, whether he did it by crookedness, by any means, once he gets his stuff, so we'll tell you, go to court. Anyway, if you are not satisfied, go to court. Knowing fully well, from our own experience now, that when you get to court, the probability is that you get nothing from there. We are not talking theory. Again, yes.
What you have said, and I'd like to know how your mind is reading all of this. You don't seem to be happy with the outcome. And in the manner in which you're speaking tonight, how then do you go into the whole org of challenging the result in the court, when it does look to me that you are not having the kind of confidence that you think the judiciary should possess?
Yeah, you know, we always live, even human beings are creatures of hope, you know, and in a way, our principal, our presidential candidate who won the election, kept on reminding us and Nigerians that he has always been given victories by the court.
You said your presidential candidate who won the election Your presidential
Yes.
candidate is that of the Labour Party.
Yes.
The presidential candidate of the APC was the one who was declared as the winner. Just to set the record straight for the sake of our viewers.
There's a difference between being declared the winner of the election and not being declared. I'm sure the governor of Imo State was declared the governor. So what the point I was making was that all the time, the 2 times he became governor in Anambra State, the 2 times, he came through the process of the judiciary. So he has that intrinsic belief, even against all odds. Again, if I refer to the previous speaker, he also has this optimism that no matter how compromised the judiciary is, if you have sufficient, overwhelming evidence, you will get judgment. I'm not so optimistic about that, but that is the process. Nigeria will operate the rule of law. This is what we have to follow. The thing is that
is about your belief and the confidence you have in the judiciary. But let me ask a specific one now. Does the outcome of today's presidential election tribunal ruling in any way dampen your campaign council's purpose of challenging the outcome of this election? Because the essence of what you prayed for in the court was to get evidence to be able to challenge it. But based on the position of the tribunal today, has it in any way dampened your morale or your ability to go forward and challenge the outcome of this election as you wanted to do?
No, it doesn't dampen my morale, because if you look at the totality of the judgment, I think it made a provision that accommodated the demands of the Labour Party and the PDP with regards to the petition being leveled. In other words, he has, by the same time, in the same judgment, he did say that the lawyers representing us, I think, should be given the right to inspect and certify, the data as they collected. How they are going to work that out, they will sort it out. The lawyers and the judges will sort that out among themselves. So there's no question. I mean, it's not going forward. Let us see. I always tell people, I like to be pleasantly surprised. By nature, I'm a very skeptical person. In fact, that's what we are trained to be in political science. I'm skeptical, and Nigeria gives you reasons to.
Came third. You're challenging this result. If, for example, the court rules and says, oh, the man who has been declared is actually not the winner in any case, how does that benefit your candidate, knowing full well that in a rational sense, the person that comes second would naturally be declared? But your candidate came third.
No, you are mixing it up. We are claiming that we won the election, not that PDP won. That PDP, we are two different, candidates or deponents before the judge. So it has nothing to do with us. We have our own case distinct from that of PDP. And we have it.
So that's the point I'm making. So, I mean, is your party shelving or pushing aside all the figures that came out of this election? Or you are still going by the figures that were declared by INEC? Or what exactly is the position?
How can we use fictitious results that were declared by INEC to prove our point? That's an absurdity. Of course, we are following the genuine. Can INEC itself, confirm which one are the figures, the right figures today or not? They are not in a position to do so. And this is the absurdity that we keep talking about, in this country. The thing is, what today the culture is, violate first, commit a crime first, then say, go to court. Look, there have been some tokenism, whoever is the brain behind, what I believe is the grand rigging of the election that's accomplished. It looks good on paper to have 3 parties having 12 states each. But statistically, that's near improbability than possibility. It's a cause. It looks like a deliberate engineering of say, look, it's everybody has something. The equilibrium is there. Now this is the way the figures were also tampered with. This. Only the fact was that the margin between the Labour Party candidates' result to the others, to the fight, was so vast. So this is where people are missing the point. It is not that the margin is in Lagos, for instance. We won, but with a lot wider margin than what is recorded. But people fiddling with figures, using TPEX and say, okay, look, the 3 of you won 12 states. It's good for the country. Governors didn't win something.
Mr. Osuntokun,
they are giving you talking points.
Because I know, So I know that you have your own data and you have your own information and you have your agents who are on the field and they fed you with a lot of information. What are the information that you have? What are the figures that you have compared to the INEC figures? Or do you have any figures independent of what INEC has? What are your field information? What do you have that Nigerians can know tonight?
No, we're in the process of sorting that out. I'm not the lawyers who are charged with that responsibility. We want to leave them to perform their job, and even if I know anything about the figures of I'm not at liberty to say.
So the reason why I asked that, sorry, apologies, Mr. Shaw. The reason why I asked that is that since you're saying that they TPEX some result and some form of tokenism, and you think that Labour Party won this election, so you must have some facts to back your position. And I'm saying that on what margin or what magnitude do you think that Labour Party won the election?
Well, you see, the results that came out Monday morning, Saturday afternoon. The thing about the internet or social media is that it has become, it exposes a lot of things. There is a limit to which you can hide it. As the results were coming out, they were coming in from different angles, but all of them showing the same result. And that is where you will believe the authenticity. If somebody from Agege, another person from Iwuanyanwu, another person from Okokomaiko, they are saying this is the result from their polling unit and it correlates, it's the same one. In any case, why would they, is it conceivable that everybody posting the results on the net, they met before to contrive what they will do to give the figures that they are going to push forward? Is that conceivable? Of course not. And the essence of these beavers, look, I said Nigeria has a way of perverting good things. Beavers has been perverted, something that is to serve a good cause, right? It has now been perverted because when the beavers does his role, takes a picture of the result, the polling agents, they have it. So the polling agents, they have all these results. And we have our own that are being presently compiled. And the truth, the gap is so wide. It makes you angry that some people can go to this extent. But they do some things, as I said, this tokenism, of saying, I don't know, Labour Party, you should be proud of what you have achieved, this, and yes, we are. But we did more. And it has been it has been said before. 7, 8, 9 public opinion polls that were taken prior to the election said Obi was going to win the election. The last one was CNN that gave Obi 41%. The ones that were giving us 22%, I think they were conservative in their estimate, the earlier ones. So look, from whichever perspective you look at this, what is going on, if you are interested in the truth, it is not difficult to find out. You know, the only thing I will, INEC has another opportunity, you know, but again, I will be pleasantly surprised. I want to be pleasantly surprised by what they will do on Saturday. But that is in hope, you know, more than expectation. Again, the other angle I was surprised at was that President Buhari inherently probably admitting that his government was a failure. He said he was going to leave one legacy that Nigerians will remember him for. He want Nigerians to remember him for the best election ever conducted. Then look at the absurdity of what has happened. Is this the legacy he wants to bequeath?
I mean, could you blame President Buhari for this? Would you say
of course.
I mean, if you, what area would you put the blame on President Buhari? In what
the buck stops on his table. And secondly, I was not the one. It was not the Nigerian public who said they were going to use the conduct of this election as a yardstick to measure his performance. He was the one who said so, and repeatedly so. Repeatedly so. I want to be remembered as a person who conducted the best so often and often and often. So how do you then reconcile this with what he said? How do you reconcile the fiasco?
Mr. Osuntokun, apologies because we are due for a break in a few minutes. And let me ask you, for those who think that since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999, there seems to be one party that's had the seats in the FCT, in the Senate, and for the first time, your party defeated that party. In Lagos State, there's been only one political family that ran the affairs and won elections in Lagos State, but your party defeated even the candidate of the APC. And there are a few things here and there, a long list of lawmakers and National Assembly seat won by your party, which in any case, some people would say your party doesn't have any presence in the National Assembly, but now has several seats there. I mean, if you say that the results are not, they are fraudulent results, what about those areas where you have won? Are those also fraudulent results?
Yes, they were, because you won with wider margins. You know, nobody should then placate us with, you know, some silly figures. If I won by margin, if our the credible speculation about the result in Lagos is that LP had about 900 to 1 million votes, and then we were given 582 to beat APC 572. So should I be, well, so because of that, I should accept the deceit. I should accept that fraud. Now, because somebody has declared those winners. What about the areas where they have worked against your interest? Even in the areas where we were declared as victors, we were still cheated. You mentioned Lagos, especially Lagos. The margin with which we defeated the other political parties in Lagos was extremely, it's beyond what the INEC was, you know, what they wrote down. You know, so that's it. It's not that because you don't blackmail. If you stole 10 of my shoes and you return 2, and I said, well, I've given you 2, so you should be happy about it. You know, no, a crime is a crime. Whether it is large or small, it is a crime.
All right. Chief Osuntokun, Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. We take another break, everyone. And when we return, we'll look at the implication of today's ruling on the governorship election and perhaps for the future elections in Nigeria and what INEC should be doing. We'll be joined again by another person who understands election in Nigeria. Chief Iwuanyanwu is still here with me. We'll be getting those perspectives before we go tonight. Stay with us. We'll be right back. for staying with us. Chief Dan Iwuanyanwu is still with me, and I'm since being joined by the Executive Director of Yaga Africa and a lawyer. It's expedient that we bring him on the program tonight, Samson Itodo, who joins us live virtually, because there are consequences to what happened today. The reconfiguration has been prayed by INEC, has been granted. INEC will have to be able to reconfigure. But tell us, does that have any effect on Saturday election?
Well, I think it's within the purview of INEC to make that determination. And I hope that maybe in the next couple of hours, INEC will issue a statement following this ruling by the court. But there are implications. This is about plus or minus, say, 48 hours to the Saturday's election. And the BVAS machines would need to be configured. But there are two things that must happen before the configuration. First, they need to back up, all the data, and that's accreditation data. And secondly, the results, the images of the result sheets, on the BVAS machines. And so this entire backup process would need to be processed. Now, the backup of the BVAS is also contingent on a few factors. One is internet availability. Shenwu, Yaga Africa observed the testing of the BVAS in January. And one of the issues that we highlighted was about network availability in all the 36 states and actually 36 states where elections would hold. So would there be network, would the network be strong enough, to back up all the data on the BVAS before the BVAS are reconfigured? And so, quite frankly, from where we stand, we don't see the possibility of performing all these processes and these functions within 48 hours, because we don't want a situation where, BVAS that are not properly configured will be deployed to the elections on Saturday, and then this cyclical issue of logistical challenge will rear its ugly head. So we need to wait on INEC to see what will be the statement that will come from the Electoral Commission. But from where we sit, this has grave implications, and the fact that this ruling is coming just 48 hours, to the governorship elections, quite frankly, I don't see the possibility of proceeding with the elections.
Yeah.
And if INEC is going to back up, the data on the BVAS, I think it needs to be subjected to transparency. And I've said this, that political parties should be invited to the INEC offices in the states to observe the configuration process. This is not a time for INEC to foreclose or shroud its activities in secrecy. The parties need to be present, they need to see this. Civil society or election observers and the media should also be part of this process. Because the more transparent you make the backup process, the configuration process, the more confidence you will build on the part of stakeholders that INEC is not and does not have any plan to sabotage or undermine the integrity of the governorship elections.
So you're a lawyer. Just before I allow, because there is a big question I wanted Chief Iwuanyanwu, and which will be the one that will send us packing out of the studio tonight. But you are a lawyer. I'd like you to speak briefly, quickly also, on the outcome of today's ruling. There's an ex-party which lies over this BVAS, and of course, the information on it is now a critical asset that the political parties need. You talked about the exercise of backing these up. INEC is pushed to this by, not by their own fault, but by the ex-party order that have been obtained. Can INEC postpone the election in all of these circumstances?
Well, I think that whatever action INEC will take has to be geared towards inspiring confidence. The confidence in the process have been halted, or it's been sort of affected by the conduct of the presidential elections. And so whatever action INEC will take is to inspire confidence. It is within the powers of INEC to determine the date and the sequence of elections. Currently, if INEC moves the election by 1 week, it still falls within the constitutional time frame for the conduct of governorship elections, because the Constitution is clear, and Chief Dan mentioned earlier that elections for governorship as well as State House of Assemblies shall hold not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days to the expiration of the incumbent, the time of the incumbent. And the expiration will be somewhere around May 20, because handover date is May 29th. If you count 30 days, you'll be somewhere around April 29th or April 28th. So we still have time in the month of March, for the conduct of this election. So INEC still has time. It's within its powers. And I would personally just wait for the Electoral Commission to issue its statement and talk to Nigerians on what action is following this ruling issued by the courts today.
Thank you so much, Samson. I appreciate giving your thought there. But I'll allow Chief Iwuanyanwu to give us a final word. And thank you so much indeed for your patience tonight. And there to hold you, should there be any failure in the connection. But thank you so much for
there's something
in the gap.
There's something I want to react very quickly.
Yeah, quickly, please.
This argument of fourth person being number one, when the DG of Labour Party campaign was talking about not having confidence in the judiciary, I cannot stand here as a lawyer or sit here as a lawyer and say that the judiciary should be written off. Okay, assuming the presidential candidate of Labour Party has enough facts and evidence that will allow Supreme Court to give him the presidency. What does that mean? It means that number 3 has now become number 1. That was the same circumstances with Imo. Most people who sing this as a song have not read the judgment. A man went to court that over 300 polling unit results was not added. He produced the results signed by INEC officials. Supreme Court looked at it and said, then why didn't you add it? Add it. If he wins, let him win. That was how he became number 1.
We totally out of time. And I wanted you, there's a big question I wanted you to ask.
Let me do it.
It's about, no, I told you.
Yes.
So in 20 seconds, what should we be doing now based on what has happened?
What we should be doing now is that INEC...
The loopholes in the law, if there's anything that we can fix.
No, there are no loopholes in the law towards the conduct of this election. What INEC should do now is to dot the I's and cross the T's and send strong warnings to the states that this election of Saturday must be conducted according to the rules and there should be no excuses.
Chief Daniel, I really, really appreciate your time tonight so much for your patience and all of that and the thoughts you've shared. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again at 7 p.m. I'm sure, Kimale. God bless Nigeria.